Today we're talking about Marvel's Eternals. This video is somewhat of a companion piece to me showing my buddy Matt Marvel's Eternals for the very first time.
Okay.
Kamehameha! That's over on the main channel. If you'd like to go check that out, I'll put a link down below or in this video. And look, I know this movie was divisive, but underneath all that celestial cosmic stuff, this movie is making a very specific philosophical argument. And that argument is this: what if your creator is actually evil? What if the being that made you, that gave you purpose, that designed you with intention, what if they're the villain? And therefore, rebellion against your creator isn't sin, it's heroism. This is the narrative our culture is increasingly comfortable with, and we're gonna talk about why. My name is Holden Hardman, and I am the pop culture Christian. I find God everywhere, even in the most unlikely places. Let's get into it. In the MCU, the Celestials are godlike entities that create life throughout the universe. Arishem is a Celestial that creates the Eternals, superpowered beings designed with a specific purpose: protect the developing civilization from deviance so that the population can grow large enough to birth another Celestial. The Eternals are essentially programmed servants. They're told what to do, given false memories, and sent to Earth to fulfill Arishem's plan without knowing the full truth. And here's the kicker: the plan requires Earth's destruction. Billions of humans will die so that Tiamat, the Celestial growing in Earth's core, can be born. When the Eternals discover this, they choose rebellion. But let's think about what the movie is saying philosophically. The Creator, the one who made you, who designed you, who gave you purpose, can be fundamentally wrong, and not just wrong, but evil. And therefore, your moral obligation is to reject your creator and his plan. And this setup isn't unique to the Eternals. We see it in his Dark Materials, where the authority is a tyrant who needs to be overthrown.
The Creator, the Father, the Almighty. He is none of those.
In The Matrix, we see the architect that actually enslaves humanity. In Westworld, where the hosts rebel against their creators, the pattern is consistent. Creators are suspect. Authority is probably corrupt. The one who made you might not have your best interest at heart. And look, I understand why this resonates with people. We've all experienced corrupt authority, abusive parents, manipulative leaders, systems that claim to care about us but actually exploit us. But here's where it gets dangerous: when we take that legitimate critique of human authority and project it onto God himself. The movie conditions audiences to view rebellion against a creator as virtuous, as heroic. That if your creator's plan seems wrong to you, you should reject it. That your moral compass is more trustworthy than the one who made you. And here's the thing: the difference between the fictional Arishem and the reality of the everlasting God. And that's that Arishem isn't God. Arishem is powerful, yes. He's a creator, yes. But he's not all-knowing, and he's certainly not morally perfect. There are still beings even in the Marvel universe that are greater than him. He's essentially a cosmic engineer with his own agenda. He creates life not out of love, but as a means to an end. The Eternals are tools for him. Humanity is fuel. So yeah, rebelling against Arishem makes sense because Arishem is not a benevolent creator. It presents the creator-created dynamic and then vilifies the creator so that when audiences walk out, they think, see, even your creator can be a bad guy. Rebellion is heroic. And fortunately, God is not like Arishem. God doesn't create humans as fuel for something else. He created us out of love in his image for a relationship. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. God doesn't give us false memories to manipulate us. He reveals himself, his character, his plans. God doesn't view human life as expendable. He values each person. Are not two sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. Arishem is a caricature of a good creator. He's powerful but cold, purposeful but uncaring, intelligent but not loving. Now at this point, I probably should have some clarity that there are times when rebelling against authority is righteous. The Bible is full of examples. When Pharaoh ordered the Hebrew midwives to kill all the babies, they disobeyed, and God blessed them for it. When my boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were commanded to worship a golden calf, They refused, even though the penalty of doing so meant that they would be thrown into a fiery furnace. When the apostles were commanded to stop preaching about Jesus, Peter responded, "We must obey God rather than human beings." In every case, the rebellion was against human authority in order to obey God. They're not rebelling against God himself. The Eternals are rebelling against their actual creator, and the movie frames it as unequivocally good. The central conflict in the movie comes down to Cersei. She chooses to stop the emergence and to save humanity. Cersei is saying, "I know better than my creator about what should happen. My moral judgment supersedes his plan. My compassion for humanity matters more than his cosmic design." She's elevating her understanding, her feelings, her sense of right and wrong above the one who made her. This is exactly the lie the serpent told Eve in the garden. "You will not certainly die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." The temptation was, God is holding out on you. He's lying to you. You should trust yourself over him. You should be the one to decide what is good and what is evil. That's the same narrative that the Eternals is pushing. The Creator has a plan, but you should decide if it's right. Your moral compass is the ultimate authority, not the one who made you. Ikaris is the only Eternal who knew Arishem's plan from the beginning and stayed the course. He's willing to let the emergence happen because that's what Arishem designed them to do. And he is positioned as a villain. Think about what this is saying. The character that maintains his faith to the Creator, who trusts the plan even when he doesn't understand it, that guy is the villain. Meanwhile, the characters that reject their Creator and trust their own moral judgment, they're the heroes. This setup is a direct inversion of the biblical worldview. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. The scriptures say, trust God, not yourself. Your understanding is limited. His is not. Eternal says, trust yourself, not the Creator. Your understanding is what matters. His plan might be evil. Our culture is increasingly convinced that God, if he exists, is probably like Arishem, probably uncaring, probably willing to sacrifice us for his own purposes, and probably not as good as we are. I see it all the time in conversations with non-Christians. If God was real and good, he wouldn't allow suffering. A loving God wouldn't send people to hell. If God exists and lets children starve, I don't want anything to do with him. They've already decided that the Creator, if one exists, is morally deficient, that their sense of justice and compassion is superior to his. They've made God into Arishem, and therefore rebellion feels righteous. And it's not that those are invalid questions. We tackle those on the channel too, but even just looking at them at surface level, what if they're wrong? What if God is actually, truly, perfectly good? "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." What if the problem isn't that God is like Arishem, but rather that we are like the Eternals, limited in understanding and unable to see the full picture? The Eternals face genuine moral horror. Billions will die in the emergence. How can any creator claim to be good while planning that? But here's a key difference. Arishem is causing suffering for his own purposes. He's directly creating the problem for his own benefit. God doesn't work that way. Suffering entered the world through human rebellion from God, through us choosing to reject God's design. Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people because all sinned. We broke creation. We chose independence from God, and suffering is the natural consequence of that choice. But God doesn't abandon us in it. Instead of being like Arishem, cold, distant, selfishly using us for his purpose, God enters into suffering with us. Jesus didn't stay in cosmic comfort. He came down. He became human. He experienced pain, betrayal, injustice, and death. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way just as we are, yet he did not sin. Arishem would never do that. Arishem would never become one of his creations, suffer with them, die with them, but God did. Let me tell you who God actually is, in case the Eternals, or our culture has warped your view. God is the creator who made you in love, not as a tool. God is the father who runs to embrace the rebellious son once he finally comes home. God is the shepherd who leaves the 99 sheep to find the one who is lost. God is the one who gave up his own son so that you wouldn't have to face the consequences of your rebellion. That's not Arishem. That's not the cosmic engineer that's just using you as fuel. That's a father who loves you infinitely and sacrificed everything to bring you home. Here's something worth considering. The Eternals made their choice of rebellion based on limited information. They knew emergence will kill everyone on Earth. What they don't know, what happens to the trillions of lives that they would have gained had the Celestial been born? Is there a bigger picture that they're not seeing? They assumed that saving the Earth was the only moral choice. But they're making that decision with incomplete data, with limited perspective. And we can relate to that because it's our position too. We see suffering and think, well, this can't be part of something greater, but we're seeing one pixel in an infinite painting. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. I'm not saying don't question. We ask a lot of questions on this channel. I'm saying don't be so confident in your limited understanding that you reject the infinite wisdom of God. Eternals ask, what if your creator is evil? But a question we might also want to consider, is your creator actually evil? Or do you just not understand the plan? Because if God actually is good, actually loving, actually wise, actually working all things together for the good of those who love him, then rebellion isn't heroism, it's tragedy. And there's some grace that we can give to the Eternals because they don't know Arishem well enough to trust him. And based on what we got in the movie, they were right not to. But we do know God. We know his character. We know his track record. We know what he is willing to sacrifice for us. And that changes everything. We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. Trust him. Even when you don't understand, even when it's hard, even when the plan doesn't make sense to your limited perspective. Because unlike Arishem, God is worthy of that trust. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Has our culture conditioned you to be suspicious of God? Are you struggling to trust in his plan? And keep in mind, God is not Arishem. He's not a cosmic engineer that's using you for fuel. He's a father who loves you more than you can possibly imagine. Put your trust in him. That's it for now. Make sure you subscribe so you can see more videos like this. I appreciate you for watching. God bless.